You know, I've said this before. I never ever intended to like become the 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 reform reporting channel where we report on all the craziness that reform does on some of these local councils. Because when I first started this, my intent was right. I'm going to talk about all the stuff that goes on these reform councils because I thought stuff was going to go wrong. I thought they were going to, mess up at least maybe once, maybe twice a week, leaving me time to talk about other things. However, the fact that, and it still kind of shocks me that every single day I can just type in reform councillor and literally just go, oh, look, there's another news story of a reform council or reform councillor doing something absolutely incompetent still absolutely shocks me. Because if this is how they are acting at local levels, and this is the party that wants to become the main party of government, God knows what a actual reform government would be like. And bear in mind, if they are screwing up this much, which remember is having real world consequences in these places where they are in charge, heaven help us all if they get in. Literally. But one thing I want to, as I've said before, there is so much stuff. Sometimes I'm spoiled for choice. So today I'm going to talk about something that's been going on down in Devon, because we're not just talking about one reform councillor who has apparently left Reform UK down in Devon to become an independent. There are now been two reform councillors who have now left down in Devon, with supposedly, apparently, more on the way. So why is Reform UK in Devon suddenly falling to pieces? Well, as we've talked about before, there is constant rumors that they are completely infighting, that some of these people joined Reform UK and have gone, oh, this isn't what I signed up for, which honestly I'm finding quite funny. But as always, as they say, this is very much the leopards ate your, your faces party. And when the leopard eats someone's face, they're going, oh, I never expected they would eat my face. Anyway, let's get on into this, shall we? So before we get on more into this, please do, of course, click the like, share, and of course, subscribe button down below. And of course, don't forget to ring the bell for notifications of when we go live or when we drop a new video. There is, of course, as well down below the Patreon page. There's the Buy Me a Coffee link. There's the YouTube thank you button. There is also the YouTube membership button down below as well. So let's carry on then into this, because oh my word indeed. So, second reform councillor leaves party in Devon. So, a Reform UK politician has now quit the party to become an independent member on the Devon County Council. Angie Nash, who represents the Wanford and St Loyals, is said that remaining in the party would compromise my own principles. What exactly? What point did did Reform UK compromise your own principles? Michael Five Cook, the leader of Reform on Devon County Council, said that some voters in Nash's constituency would feel let down. Nash is now the second Reform councillor to leave the party since this year's election, after Ed Hill, the Devon County Council member of Pinhole and Meekingale, was expelled from Reform back in July. And I think this is the guy. Is this the guy? Yes. Yes. This is the guy who published a statement about free school meals. But he's also the guy who reported his colleagues for like electoral malpractice or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the full thing was now. And instead of punishing those people who had performed that action, they went after him for bringing the party into disrepute. All he was doing was reporting, saying, "Hey, there's two people in the party here that have done something wrong, I'm reporting them. Sorry, you've brought the party into disrepute. Unbelievable. So, this move now means that Reform UK, the second biggest party on Devon Council, now have gone from holding 18 seats following the election down to 16. Nash said her decision had not been made lightly. She said, entering public life, I made a commitment to act with honesty, integrity, and transparency. To remain under the Exeter Reform branch would now be to compromise my own principles and the trust placed in me by the people I represent. Again, it would be interesting to find out what it is, because they're not saying what it is that's compromised her integrity. What has she been asked to do? What's gone on? Again, more behind the scenes stuff on here going on. If you are down in Devon and you know more about this, please do let me know or point me in the direction where I can find out more, because I'd be very interested to once again find out what's going on here. Because it's once again showing that there's a lot of infighting in these groups. Nash, of course, won a seat back in the May elections with 950 votes, 107 more than their nearest rival, the Conservative candidate Anne Johnson. Michael Fife Cook, the member for Yalton Rural, who leads the Reform UK group on the county council, said he'd been informed indirectly of Nash's decision. So she didn't even inform him directly. Anyway, he had said he had now written to Nash to say a decision to leave Reform UK could annoy some of those who had voted for her. Some people will now feel let down as people who voted for Reform, he said. This is so funny when you hear someone from Reform talking about this, where you see someone switching from another party to Reform. Why not trigger a by-election? If you are so certain that this is the party you want to be in, you should have a by-election. I always say this. Stuff like this should automatically trigger a by-election. It annoys me so much. And then these people don't have the will to actually put that to the test. Anyway, he does continue. He said, people, of course, did not vote for us. They voted for a party they hoped would, of course, do better. So we would consider that we are the wonderful ones. My God. If we step back from Reform and stay as councillors, that could, of course, annoy some people, as it isn't what they voted for. Yeah. I don't know. I think there's more stuff going on here than meets the eye. Let's go here. Yeah, let's go to Devon Live for a second. Let's go Devon Live. What have you got to say on this? Independent councillor. But why is she quit? What was the so he has suggested, again, this is the leader of the Devon council. So yeah, he is Devon Live. He has suggested that part of the rationale for her decision could have been prompted by upset various Reform members they felt after our most recent full council meeting. The Liberal Democrats appeared to state that the chamber would now find out who is racist and who is not before a vote on a motion calling for a policy of zero tolerance to hate crime at the council. The vote, of course, is being recorded, meaning that every member's vote would be logged individually now against their name, rather than the vote just being expressed as a simple majority of one or against, as it is now in common. Councillor Joseph did apologise to member Tater, stating he had now the word respect, not racist, but several Reform UK members, of course, left the chamber in protest before the vote could be taken, with some now remaining absent. It could be partly because of that. I don't think it was. She said Angie was upset like this. She wasn't the only one. But authors could think it could be the influence in terms of decision now from Ed Hill. I don't think it would be that, but we will see. It's interesting that this person, this woman here, has now decided just to up sticks and leave. And what's caused it? Integrity, respect, transparency. I think there's maybe more going on here. I think that maybe first meets the eye. I think there's more going on here than maybe meets the eye. Maybe we'll be covering more about Devon in the not too distant future. But as always, if you know any more about this, please by all means do let me know. I'd be very interested because it does feel that there's more once again going on here than meets the eye. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.